Chapter 47-45. What kind of person was the Alchemist Association president? Even he was praising Bailey Hongzhuang. Could be seen how amazing Bailey Hongzhuang was. Di Chuyuan and the others were also pleasantly surprised. They never thought that their second young mistress would receive such praise from the old president. In comparison, the Xiao family and Jun family's expressions became abnormally ugly. Originally, in their opinion, killing Bailey Hongzhuang was no different from killing a grasshopper, but they did not expect that such a small character, who they did not put in their eyes, would jump so high in the alchemy competition. Old President, how can you prove that Bailey Hongzhuang has the lost pill recipe? Xiao So couldn't help but ask. Kudekang looked at Xiao So meaningfully and said with a smile, "Old man, my hidden illness was cured by this Bailey girl's pill recipe. Could it be that the Xiao family's girl thinks that my ability to identify pills isn't as good as yours?" As Kudechang's voice fell, everyone immediately understood. "Old President, has your hidden illness been cured?" Lu Yuhai's voice was filled with excitement, and it even trembled a little. Kudekang nodded. "Back then, I said that if my hidden illness couldn't be cured, I wouldn't return." At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but look at the Great Elder. It was clear that among them, only the Great Elder knew about this old president. This President Kudekang is the previous president of the Alchemist Association. His alchemy skills can be said to be at the peak of perfection. It is said that he can already refine 10th grade pills. Once this was said, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' eyes were filled with astonishment. Alchemy skills were the same as cultivation. The further one progressed, the harder it was to improve. Although there was only a difference of 1 grade between a 9th grade alchemist and a 10th grade alchemist, the majority of 9th grade alchemists were unable to refine 10th grade pills. It's just that something happened later. President Kudekang could no longer refine 10th grade pills. Since then, he announced his retirement and passed the position to President Liu. He has never appeared again. When this news came out at that time, it caused a great sensation. No one understood why President Kudekang chose to retire suddenly at that time. Now it seems that he has a hidden illness. Until this moment, Di Chuyuan connected all of this. It turned out that the problem was here. It turns out to be the case. Everyone was stunned. But in that case, isn't second cousin-in-law more powerful? Lin Yi couldn't help but say, the problem that President Kudekang couldn't solve for so many years was solved by second. With Lin Yi's words, everyone's eyes were looked at her. That was the case. After everyone knew Kudechang's identity, no one doubted his words anymore. After all, as the former president of the Alchemist Association, it was absolutely impossible for him to fake this kind of thing and do something that would damage his reputation. So, I'm afraid that Bailey Hongzhuang has more than one kind of lost pill recipe. Yes, this 8 turns Bodhi pill is a kind of medicinal pill to treat the old president's hidden illness. It is another kind. Bailey Hongzhuang has too many treasures. If that's the case, I'm really starting to envy the D family. They're just too lucky. Chapter 47-46. When I saw the Jun family and the Xiao family joining forces, I thought the D family would be in trouble this time. Now, it seems that the D family will not be in trouble. On the contrary, they may even increase their influence because of this. Yes, the situation this time has really taken a turn. If we don't see the end, we won't be able to tell who the real winner is. It was not until this moment that everyone understood why the D family made such a decision. It turned out that they had already considered it carefully. Their previous judgment had been wrong. How could a giant like the D family take the risk to make such an outrageous move without thinking about it properly? They were still too naive. However, just as everyone thought so, the members of the D family sighed in their hearts. Like everyone else, they had just found out that Bailey Hongzhuang had so many trump cards. Obviously, even if they explained now, no one would believe them. Jun Xianxiao looked at Di Chuyuan gloomily. I haven't seen you for a while. I didn't expect your acting skills to improve so much. Thank you for the compliment, Di Chuyuan said indifferently. Since no one would believe him even if he explained, he might as well admit it directly. Anyway, Bailey Hongzhuang was already their second young madam. Even if others were envious, they could not do anything about it. Little Bailey, I owe you a favor. Kudekheng looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. Compared to the way he looked at others, the way he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang was obviously gentler and more amiable. Bailey Hongzhuang cupped her hands and said, Senior, you are too polite. The deal we made back then has already been completed. You don't owe me anything. Back then, she had seen through Kudechang's hidden illness and chose to give him the pill formula. If not, Kudekheng would not have agreed to the deal so quickly. He did not even have the time to consider it. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's magnanimous appearance, Kudechang's eyes were filled with admiration. Little Bailey, although the value of what I gave you is not low, in my eyes, it is far from being comparable to what you gave me. You're not someone who likes to take advantage of others, so this old man naturally won't take advantage of you. Therefore, I owe you this favor. You don't have to say anything more. If you need this old man's help in the future, feel free to ask. Kudechang's tone was resolute, not giving Bailey Hongzhuang any chance to refuse. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly taken aback. From the other party's attitude, she understood that if she continued to speak, it would only make Kudekheng unhappy. Therefore, she did not say anything more. Thank you, Senior. That's more like it. Kudekheng revealed a satisfied look. Liu Yuhai and the others never thought that the person who cured the old president would be Bailey Hongzhuang, and their hearts were filled with gratitude. Until now, Kudekheng was still the only alchemist who was able to refine Tier 10 medicinal pills. Him being able to return had a great significance to the Alchemist Association. Miss Bailey, you cured the old president's hidden illness. Our entire Alchemist Association owes you a favor. Liu Yuhai's gaze was deep and his voice was sincere. He thanked Bailey Hongzhuang from the bottom of his heart. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, he did not know if he would have the chance to see the old president in this lifetime. One must know that the old president had done him a great favor. Bailey Hongzhuang was stunned. Liu Yuhai's reaction was also out of her expectations. However, this was also a good thing to her. Chapter 47-47. The cultivators of the D family looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and didn't know what to say. They felt as if a pie had fallen from the sky and smashed onto their heads. The Alchemist Guild suddenly owed them a favor. Although it was owed to Bailey Hongzhuang was now a member of the D family. Was there anything more surprising than this? Sister-in-law, you really are our D family's lucky star. Di Xiaofeng couldn't help but say. Originally, they were bound to lose this time, but Bailey Hongzhuang had completely turned the situation around. Now, not only were they not at a disadvantage, they were even in the limelight. Among the many forces, which family could be more famous than them? As soon as this was said, whether it was the cultivators of the D family or the Lin family, they couldn't help but nod. In their eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang was a shining lucky star. After confirming that Bailey Hongzhuang was refining the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill, Liu Yuhai and the others didn't continue to stay here. After all, the most important thing now was to evaluate the points of the alchemy competition. Compared to the previous silence, the audience couldn't be quiet anymore. Many of the families that were on good terms with the D family were now secretly regretting it. Their relationship with the D family was originally very good, but after knowing that the Xiao family and the Jun family had joined forces, they subconsciously kept some distance from the D family. Who would have thought that there would be such a reversal in the end? However, even if they tried to get closer to the D family now, they were afraid that the D family would still have a thorn in their hearts. The Murong family originally had some opinions about Murong Jing being so close to Di Xiaofeng at this time, but at this moment, they felt that Murong Jing's actions were really right. Not long after, Liu Yuhai stood up from the referee's seat. He looked at the crowd below the high platform and said, "To everyone's anticipation, the results are out." Everyone's faces were either filled with nervousness or anticipation. Only the top 100 would be able to obtain a place to enter the immortal cloud mystic realm. As long as they were alchemist clans who had persevered until the very end, they would inevitably be filled with anticipation. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also looked at the huge black stone on the high platform. The names of the top 100 alchemists would appear on it. 100th place, Mo Dingling, points 90, 65, 75, total score 230. 99th place, He Jun. His scores were 91, 64, and 78. His total score was 233. One after another, the names of the pharmacists appeared on the black stone from bottom to top. All the clans who discovered that the names of their own alchemists had appeared at the top of the rankings. Although their points were at the bottom of the rankings and they did not have many slots, the slots to enter the immortal cloud secret realm were already very difficult to obtain. Even if they were able to obtain one more slot, it would still be a joyous occasion. Moreover, this was not only related to the quota. On the other hand, it also reflected the ability of their own alchemists, which was helpful in increasing the clan's influence. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others' gazes were all focused on the black stone. They discovered that as the rankings were getting closer and closer to the front, the gap between the points was getting smaller and smaller. There were even 2 decimal places after the decimal point. The closer it is to the front, the smaller the gap between the points between the cultivators. Often, a difference of a few tenths of a point can lead to a difference in the rankings. Di Chuyuan slowly said. Soon, the last 50 names were all displayed. Chapter 47-48. This guy was very arrogant when he was in the D family. He didn't take Di Yunhe and Di Yunhe seriously at all. Now that they were both level 8 alchemists, Di Hengyun wanted to know how big the gap was between them. Although Alchemist Qin had been a level 8 alchemist for a long time and had more experience than them, since they were both level 8 alchemists, the gap shouldn't be too big. Alchemist Qin also noticed Di Hengyun's gaze and said coldly, "Why are you looking at me? Do you think you can surpass me? Why are you so arrogant? Even if I'm not your opponent, you can't compare to our second madam." Di Hengyun sneered, "You were so arrogant when you left the Di family. I want to see how much you can bring to the Jun family. Then wait patiently. At least it's better than you and Di Yunhe. After so many years, you're still level 7 alchemist. I think you'll be stuck here for the rest of your lives." Di Yunhe turned around and said with a smile, "Alchemist Qin, you're wrong. Let me tell you, we're already level 8 alchemist. Don't think you're so great just because you're an level 8 alchemist. You used to be so arrogant in front of us and said we weren't talented enough. Now it seems like you need to improve your vision." Alchemist Qin was stunned. At this moment, he didn't care about Di Yunhe's mockery. He focused all his attention on the fact that Di Yunhe had become an level 8 alchemist. "Are you kidding?" Alchemist Qin sneered. "Even if you want to show off, you don't have to exaggerate things like this. You should know that it's easy to see through this. Level 8 alchemists at the same time? You two? You must be dreaming." "Haha," Di Yunhe chuckled, "we've always been honest people. We're not like you. This kind of thing can't be faked. The results will be out soon. Open your dog eyes and see." Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun ignored Alchemist Qin. When they thought about how arrogant this guy was in front of them before, they felt a burst of displeasure. Today, they could be considered to be able to completely turn the tables. If Alchemist Qin had heard Di Yunhe's conversation before, he wouldn't have taken it to heart. However, after being slapped in the face again and again, he felt that something was wrong with him. Could it be that what the other party said was true? Advancing to become an 8th-tier alchemist was not an easy task, not to mention that both of them had advanced at the same time. Alchemist Qin thought about it for a while, but he still felt that it was impossible. 27th place, D. Hing Yun. 8th Elder, you are 27th. The members of the D family were pleasantly surprised. One had to know that this quota was enough to help the D family obtain many quotas to enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm. Most importantly, in their opinion, it was basically impossible for the 8th Elder to enter the top 100. Now, not only did he enter, but his score was also so high. How could they not be surprised? Di Hengyun also smiled happily. In fact, he had been a little worried before he saw his name. Chapter 47-49. Only at this moment did he completely relax. However, such a ranking still made him feel incomparably pleasantly surprised. Hengyun, look. You got 77 points in the third round. Di Yunha paid more attention to Di Hengyun's score. Not to mention the first 2 rounds, the third round score was already shocking enough. Logically speaking, they had just become level 8 alchemists. Even if they had successfully refined level 8 elixirs, their score shouldn't be too high. But now Di Hengyun had reached 77 points. This was unbelievable in their eyes. Hearing Di Yunha's words, Di Hengyun also noticed this point. His eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of surprise. Yeah, I didn't expect my score to be so high. No wonder my ranking is so high. Di Hengyun thought carefully for a moment. If it was any other time, this would be impossible. Yunha, in my opinion, this is caused by the alchemy skills that second young madam taught us. When I was refining, I felt that the quality of the elixirs was better than the ones we refined before. Di Hengyun thought and said. Di Yunha nodded slightly. We have the same thought. After thinking about it, they couldn't think of any other reason. When they heard Bailey Hongzhuang telling them the details of refining elixirs, they were very shocked. This method was quite different from what they usually did. Now, it seemed that the effect was better than they thought. Alchemist Qin was shocked when he saw Di Hengyun's score. This was because the score in the third round proved that Di Hengyun had refined a level 8 elixir. Moreover, the quality of the elixirs was very outstanding. How could this be? Alchemist Qin was in disbelief. When he was in the D family, he clearly knew that Di Hengyun was a level 7 alchemist. Not only that, according to what he knew, Di Hengyun was not only a level 7 alchemist, but also a level 8 alchemist. How could Di Hengyun reach this level in such a short time? Jun Xianshao and the others were also stunned when they saw that Di Hengyun was ranked 27th. They didn't take Di Hengyun seriously at all. They thought that it was impossible for him to enter the top 100. However, the 27th place on the ranking board blinded them. How did Di Hengyun achieve such a ranking? Jun Xianshao could no longer remain calm. He's just a 7th grade alchemist. It's impossible for him to enter the top 100. Xiao Jinfeng also had a puzzled look on his face. This matter is indeed a little strange. According to what they knew, the D family did not have a level 8 alchemist. It was precisely because of this that the D family had wanted to exchange a few places with them, but they had refused. If Di Hengyun was an 8th tier alchemist, then the D family wouldn't have needed to do such a thing. 26th place, Qin Shixin, points for the 3 rounds, 89, 69, 79. 6. Then, Qin Shixin's name appeared on the ranking stone. This ranking doesn't seem to be that high. Chapter 47-50. I thought this alchemist Qin was very powerful before. I didn't expect him to be as powerful as I thought. Lin Yi couldn't help but say. Deja's eyes also glanced at Qin Shixin contemptuously. This guy was so arrogant when he was in our family. He always looked down on 7th Elder and 8th Elder. Now, his score is only 1 point higher than 8th Elder. I don't know why he was so arrogant before. It's ridiculous. Not only Deja's eyes, but everyone in the D family had the same thought at this moment. If this guy was really so strong, they could accept his arrogance. However, he obviously didn't have such strength, yet he still put on such airs. That was really too much. Qin Shixin's face became extremely ugly after seeing his ranking. He didn't expect that he would have such a ranking. Logically speaking, with his strength, he should at least enter the top 20. He didn't expect that he would stop here this time. Most importantly, his ranking was only one place higher than Di Hengyun. Wasn't this a slap in the face? Everyone in the Jun family also looked at the score above in disbelief. They hoped that Qin Shixin could get a good result. Obviously, this was not a good result. If there was no bet with the Di family, it would be fine. Such a ranking could also win a very good quota for the Jun family. At least, the Jun family would have enough quotas, and there would still be a surplus. But now, it was obviously not such a situation. Alchemist Qin, you told me before that you would definitely enter the top 20. Jun Xianshao opened his thin lips, and his voice was already cold. They had spent a lot of money to invite Qin Shixin in the beginning. In order to bring down the Di family this time, they had invested a lot. However, such a result did not meet their expectations at all. Jun Lingxuan and others' faces were also ugly. From the moment they saw Qin Shixin's ranking, they knew that they had lost the bet this time. Because Bailey Hongzhuang's ranking had not come out yet. No matter which round, Bailey Hongzhuang's results were better than Qin Shixin's. This meant that their quota this time would be given to the Di family. Thinking of this, everyone's face turned a little pale. Alchemist Qin, could it be that I'm the one who's been fooled? Are you actually a spy sent by the Di family? Jun Xianshao narrowed his eyes. His sharp gaze shot straight at Qin Shixin, as if he could see through all his thoughts. Qin Shixin couldn't help but be stunned. He quickly waved his hand and said, "Great Elder, you have to believe me. I'm doing this for the Jun family wholeheartedly. I don't have any other thoughts." Jun Xianshao snorted. "How can I believe such a result? Great Elder, I didn't perform well today." Qin Shixin explained anxiously. "It's mainly because the Di family's situation was beyond my expectations. My state of mind was affected, so I couldn't perform well." Alchemist Qin, you clearly told us that the Di family doesn't have an 8th grade alchemist. What's the situation now? How did the 8th elder of the Di family suddenly become a level 8 alchemist? Jun Lingxuan frowned as he looked at Qin Shixin. He also felt that there was something wrong with Qin Shixin. This. I don't know either. Qin Shixin couldn't help but feel anxious. When I was with the Di family, he was really only a 7th grade alchemist. Chapter 4751. Qin Shixin nodded. That's right, Great Elder. It's possible. Bailey Hongzhuang went to the Di family after I left. I can't control this. Maybe Di Hengyun was under too much pressure before, so he became an 8th grade alchemist at this stage. Jun Xianshao frowned. What happened this time was very different from what they had expected. Now, the whole Jun family was waiting for them to bring back good news. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. At this moment, Jun Zitao and the others couldn't help but exclaim, "How is this possible?" Hearing this, Jun Xianshao and the others couldn't help but look at the rankings. There were 3 words written on the 25th place, Di Yunhe. Jun Xianshao stared at the name for a long time, then looked at Qin Shixin gloomily. What do you have to say now? If only Di Hengyun had reached the 8th grade, it might have been a coincidence. But both of them had reached the 8th grade, and they didn't know about it at all. If Qin Shixin hadn't hidden it from them, there was no other possibility. Qin Shixin stared at the rankings in a daze. He even rubbed his eyes in disbelief. How is this possible? Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun had sandwiched him in the middle. At this moment, he didn't care that his score was lower than Di Yunhe's. He just wanted to explain to Jun Xianshao. However, in this situation, no matter how he explained, it was useless. Even he couldn't believe it. The Jun family looked at Qin Shixin with hatred. They thought that it was a good plan to poach Medicine Master Qin, but they didn't expect that they would be tricked by the Di family. After all this trouble, Qin Shixin turned out to be a member of the Di family. No wonder they lost so badly. Feeling the June family's gaze, Qin Shixin stepped back with a pale face. He really couldn't explain it. Of course, this scene didn't escape the eyes of the D family. Suddenly, they felt a burst of joy. Qin Shixin deserved this kind of punishment for betraying them. At this moment, Di Beichen's voice suddenly rang out. Medicine Master Qin, you did a good job. We won't mistreat you. Qin Shixin was still thinking about how to explain, but when he heard Di Beichen suddenly say such a thing to him like a brother, and then looked at the June family's people who wished they could kill him, he really wanted to cry. But was his words useful now? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Beichen with a smile. Beichen, you're really good at tricking people. You have to pay for what you did. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Qin Shixin. Sure enough, after this incident, Qin Shixin was afraid that there was really no way out. The June family would never let him go. Under such circumstances, no other family would come forward to protect him. If he was a person who valued friendship and righteousness, there might be people who would stand up for him and protect him. However, it was obvious that people like him wouldn't have such loyal friends. When the Xiao family saw that the June family had turned against them, they all felt uncomfortable. They could have laughed at the June family, but now they were on the same side as the June family. There was no changing it. Chapter 4752. The Xiao family's alchemist performed well and reached the 16th place. If it were before, this ranking would definitely make them very happy, but now they couldn't be happy. The Lin family's alchemist ranking was relatively low, and the other alchemist was eliminated directly. However, Elder Lin was not in a hurry now because the June family had won a lot of slots this time. With the close relationship between the two families, it was not a problem to get some slots from them. I was wondering if I could give you some slots. Now it seems that our Lin family is going to take advantage of you. Lin Xuanren couldn't help but smile. Di Chuyuan also laughed, no problem. Isn't this a simple matter? At this moment, he actually felt surprised. In the past, alchemy competition had always been their family's weakness. He didn't expect it to suddenly become their strength. It's already in the top 10, but the name of second cousin-in-law hasn't appeared yet. Lin Yi couldn't help but rub her hands. Her face was full of excitement. The faces of Di Xiaofeng and others also showed a look of expectation. As a matter of fact, the top 10 were usually occupied by the 9th-grade alchemists of the Alchemist Guild. The Di family had never gotten such a good ranking. Master, I don't know what place you will be. Xiao Hei's eyes flashed with excitement. In fact, such a result was already outstanding, but she always felt that her master's ranking would be better. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the score on the ranking list and shook her head thoughtfully. I don't know, but I will know soon. After looking carefully, she found that Ouyang Jifeng's name had not appeared yet. It seems that Ouyang Jifeng is really powerful. According to the 7th Elder, the top 10 were basically all 9th-grade alchemists. The reason why she could get such a good result was mainly that she got full marks in the second round. This Ouyang Jifeng could also enter the top 10, which showed his talent. 5th place, Ouyang Jifeng. Finally, everyone saw Ouyang Jifeng's name in anticipation. There was a burst of exclamations from the audience. With Ouyang Jifeng's age, he was able to obtain such a quota. In the future, he would definitely win the alchemy competition. Ouyang Jifeng is indeed a genius. Such a ranking is simply the pride of the younger generation. Ouyang Jifeng is indeed powerful. Originally, he was in the limelight in this alchemy competition. Who would have thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would suddenly appear? Now, he is not the most eye-catching one. Bailey Hongzhuang's ranking is still not out yet. This result is a little scary. Everyone discussed animatedly. Even the other grade 9 alchemists were practically ignored by everyone at this moment. After Ouyang Jifeng saw his ranking, his expression was very calm. He turned to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the other party's gaze, Bailey Hongzhuang revealed a smile. Then, she saw Ouyang Jifeng give her a thumbs up. Third place, Zhou Yin, the 3 rounds of scores are 98, 90, 90. Second place, Hang Rui, the 3 rounds of scores are 98, 91, 90. Until now, Bailey Hongzhuang's name still had not appeared. Everyone already understood in their hearts. This is too scary. The D family's Bailey Hongzhuang is actually first place? I have never heard of the alchemy competition being won by a 20-something alchemist. Chapter 4753. Everyone in the D family had already expected that Bailey Hongzhuang's results would not be bad, but when they saw this result at this moment, they still couldn't believe it. Second cousin-in-law actually won first place? Lin Yi's eyes widened. This feeling was as if she had ascended to the clouds and stepped on the clouds. She was so happy that she couldn't believe that this was true. Di Xiaofeng and others also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. This score was indeed beyond all of their expectations. Not only them, but Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be stunned for a moment when she heard this result. According to her judgment, it was already good enough to enter the top 5. She really didn't think about getting first place. Just when the D family and the Lin family were immersed in joy, Xiao Sou's questioning voice suddenly sounded. This is impossible. There is a problem with the score. When everyone saw that Xiao Sou began to find trouble at this time, they were too lazy to pay attention to her. Because previously, whenever Bailey Hongzhuang had a good result, Xiao Sou would definitely find trouble, but it turned out that she was wrong in the end. Thinking about it, it was the same this time, so everyone was too lazy to take it to heart. Seeing that no one paid attention to her at all, Xiao Sou's face was also ashen. The highest score for an 8th grade medicinal pill is only 80 points. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang's score in the 3rd round reached 80 points, she can't surpass the score of the 2nd place. Xiao Se Wu raised her voice so that everyone around her could hear her clearly. She had reason and evidence to back up her words. Originally, no one paid attention to her, but after hearing her words at this moment, everyone calculated a little and found that what she said was really right. Yes, Miss Xiao is right. There is indeed a problem with this score. I didn't expect such a problem to appear in this alchemy competition. We must raise it. That scared me. So it was a calculation error. I was wondering how Bailey Hongzhuang could get first place at such a young age. That's just too shocking. Bailey Hongzhuang took a closer look at the 2nd place's score after hearing the crowd's discussion. It was just as the crowd had said. Her score shouldn't be higher than the 2nd place's. Just as everyone was guessing, the name of the 1st place was revealed. It was none other than Bailey Hongzhuang. First place, Bailey Hongzhuang. Her scores for the 3 rounds are 99,185 respectively. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted by Bailey Hongzhuang's score in the 3rd round. Sure enough, the score was calculated wrongly. Bailey Hongzhuang's score was actually 5 points higher. At the same time, some attentive cultivators also noticed another problem. Don't be anxious. Even if Bailey Hongzhuang took away the 5 points from the 3rd round, her score would still be the same as the 2nd place's score. She could still be considered as tied for first place. Speaking of which, Bailey Hongzhuang is still in first place. Xiao Sou was originally feeling complacent about her discovery, but after listening to everyone's words, she took a closer look, and the smile on her face dissipated a little. No matter what, there must be a problem with the score. Furthermore, being tied for first place would also pull Bailey Hongzhuang's limelight down a little. That's true. The crowd nodded. At this moment, Lu Yuhai stood up and waved his hand at the crowd who had raised their doubts. Instantly, the crowd quietened down. Chapter 4754. Hearing Lu Yuhai's words, everyone looked at the high platform, wondering what kind of explanation he would give. Bailey Hongzhuang was also confused, but she didn't feel disappointed at all. She never wanted to have any honor that didn't belong to her, not to mention that today's results had already exceeded her expectations. I believe everyone already knows that Bailey Hongzhuang refined the long-lost 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. Lu Yuhai's voice sounded. Just because she refined a long-lost pill, she can get an extra 5 points? The cultivators below the stage couldn't help but question. In the alchemy competition, a difference of 1 point could make a difference in the rankings, let alone 5 points. The reason why she got an extra 5 points is not because she refined a long-lost pill. Everyone, please listen to me patiently. I believe some of you know about the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. This pill belongs to the 8th grade, and there's a reason why it's called the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. Every time a first revolution pill appears, an elixir pattern will appear. A perfect 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill will have 8 elixir patterns. In the rules of the alchemy competition, there has always been a rule. When an alchemist refines a perfect elixir, they can get an extra 5 points. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present suddenly understood. However, this answer made them even more surprised. I heard that it's very difficult to refine a perfect elixir. This kind of elixir can maximize the medicinal effect. It's said that other than the old president, no other alchemist has been able to refine an elixir of this level. Could it be that Bailey Hongzhuang has done it? No way, Bailey Hongzhuang's talent is too amazing. Everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. They didn't expect such a shock at the end of the alchemy competition. Di Yunhe and Di Hengyun looked at each other. Both of their eyes were filled with astonishment. There is indeed such a rule in the alchemy competition. However, no alchemist has been able to do so for so many years. Over time, everyone has forgotten about it, Di Yunhe said. I didn't expect second young mistress to have refined a real 8 turns Bodhi pill. This is really rare. Di Hengyun sighed. Lin Yi and other young disciples looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in amazement. Although they didn't know much about alchemy, they could tell how difficult it was to achieve this step from the stunned expressions of other alchemists. So many alchemists were unable to do it, yet Bailey Hongzhuang was able to do it. How formidable was this? After seeing the look of realization on everyone's face, Lu Yuhai's face also showed a smile. I believe that everyone should understand the origin of these scores now that I've explained it to this point. At this time, the alchemist ranked second spoke up. Miss Bailey is able to refine perfect-grade medicinal pills. She is indeed worthy of such a score. This one is wholeheartedly convinced. After everyone saw that the second-ranked alchemist no longer had any objections, they all nodded their heads and accepted this result. Xiao Shou didn't expect such a result in the end. She couldn't help but ask the alchemist in her family. Is it really so difficult to refine a perfect elixir? Chapter 47-55. Hearing this, Xiao Shou's body trembled and her face turned pale. She knew that it was not easy to refine a perfect-grade pill, but she did not know how difficult it was. However, she knew how difficult it was to become a 10th-grade pill refiner. If Bailey Hongzhuang could become a 10th-grade pill refiner in the future, then just this point alone would make Bailey Hongzhuang a dazzling member of the younger generation. Ouyang Jifeng had always had a very high reputation among the younger generation. The reason was that everyone thought that he was very likely to become the next Tier 10 alchemist. Now, it was obvious that Bailey Hongzhuang's potential was more outstanding than Ouyang Jifeng's. She would definitely receive attention that would not be any less than Ouyang Jifeng's. If it was said that she had been arrogant and confident in front of Bailey Hongzhuang before, then all of this was slowly disappearing. At least, before she truly became the Saint of the Light Maiden, she no longer had the right to act arrogantly in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Xiao Shou indifferently. Her family background was indeed enough to crush many others. However, when a person displayed enough outstanding talent, even if she did not have a background, she would still have an unshakable position. She would protect her man with her own hands. If she wanted to covet her man, she would have to see if she had the right to do so. Thus, the once-in-a-decade pill refining competition came to an end. After the results were announced, Bailey Hongzhuang and the two elders went up on stage to collect their identity cards to enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm. This identity card was blank. Once a cultivator imbued their aura into the card, their information would be revealed. As the three of them walked down the stage, the faces of the D family were filled with joyful smiles. This time, the D family had really reaped a great harvest. When Qin Shixin came down with his identity card, his expression was extremely awkward. He had thought that today would be his day of limitless glory and that he would become the Jun family's guest of honor. He never thought that he would end up in such a situation. Looking at the identity card in his hand, he didn't feel any joy at all. On the contrary, he felt very miserable. After seeing Qin Shixin come down, Di Beichen looked at Jun Zitao. "Second young master of the Jun family, do you still remember our bet?" The moment these words came out, Jun Zitao's expression became very ugly. He really regretted it now. If he had known, he would never have made such a bet. She had always thought that the second young master of the D family was a good-for-nothing. Who would have thought that he was actually a wolf in sheep's clothing? This time, he was completely defeated by Di Beichen. Jun Zitao didn't answer Di Beichen. Instead, he looked at Jun Xianshao, his face pale and powerless. First Elder Jun Xianshao naturally knew the stakes of this bet. He couldn't accept such an outcome. The Immortal Cloud secret realm was an excellent opportunity for the young disciples of every family to gain experience. However, this time, there wasn't a single person left in the family, which obviously affected the development of their disciples. Elder Jun, I remember that before the start of the pill refining competition, you specifically reminded me of this bet. Now that you've lost, don't tell me that you're going to renege on your bet in front of everyone? Di Chuyuan chuckled. He glanced at the crowd behind him and looked at Jun Xianshao with a faint smile. Jun Xianshao looked at Di Chuyuan with a malicious gaze. The smile on his face was particularly glaring in his eyes. Here you go. Chapter 4756. Di Chuyuan held the identity card in his hand and smiled. "Thank you so much, Elder Jun, for giving us such a big gift." Jun Xianshao snorted and said, "I'll return Qin Shixin to you as well." After that, Jun Xianshao didn't want to look at Qin Shixin anymore. Everything had been ruined by Qin Shixin. Now, he really didn't want to see this guy anymore. Otherwise, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control his anger and would tear this guy apart in front of everyone. "Let's go." Jun Lingxuan and the others glared at Di Beichen and the others before leaving with Jun Xianshao. The Di family didn't care about the others' anger. On the contrary, they were in a good mood. When the surrounding big families saw that the Jun family's quota had all fallen into the hands of the Di family, their eyes shone with envy. The Di family is really the big winner of the alchemy competition this time. The number of quotas is terrifying. That's right. We've really watched a good show today. Who would have thought that the Jun family would still be defeated by the Di family in the end, even after scheming so much? The Di family probably won't be able to use up so many quotas. I think we should think of a way to use our resources to exchange for a few quotas from the Di family. For a moment, many families were excited. Compared to the Di family, who had so many quotas, most families only had a few quotas. It was not enough at all. There are so many quotas. Our family's disciples can't use them all. Di Xiaofeng's face was full of joy. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. It seems that the family should be able to get a lot of good things this time. Di Chuyuan, who was always serious, was very happy at this moment. His image was completely different from usual. All of this is thanks to Hongzhuang. Daihaoan looked emotional. If it weren't for Bailey Hongzhuang, how could they have achieved such results? Everyone nodded. In their hearts, Bailey Hongzhuang was the biggest contributor and their lucky star. I'm sure the Patriarch and the others will be very surprised when they hear this news. Second madam, this is all thanks to you, Di Chuyuan said seriously. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, I am also a member of the Di family. This is what I should do. Hearing this, everyone laughed. All the gloominess from before completely dissipated at this moment. When Xiao Jinfeng and the others saw how proud the Di family was, they felt a little sad. Even though they had gained a lot this time, they still couldn't feel happy. Because they had made an unwise decision. Let's go back and celebrate, Di Xiaofeng suggested. Everyone nodded in agreement. The alchemy competition had ended and there was still some time before the opening of the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm. During this period of time, they had to continue staying in Water Praying City and wait for the arrival of the other disciples of their clans. Sure. Great. Of course. Everyone agreed. At this moment, the Bailey family's team slowly walked past the Di family's team. Bailey Yunyan's gaze fell on Di Xiaofeng. In fact, she didn't pay much attention to the alchemy competition. Instead, she focused more on Di Xiaofeng. Chapter 47-57. The most important thing was that, in the process just now, she found that there was always a delicate and lovely woman beside Di Xiaofeng. The two were obviously very close. She wanted to leave directly, but she couldn't help but look at Di Xiaofeng. Compared to a behemoth like the Di family, the Bailey family was just a small family. It was precisely because of this that she never thought that a character like Di Xiaofeng would like her. She always understood the huge gap between the two, but Di Xiaofeng's approach gradually made her greedy. Maybe it's really possible? However, looking at the radiant man at this moment, she deeply felt her insignificance. Di Xiaofeng also noticed Bailey Yunyan while talking, and his gaze suddenly changed a little. Big cousin, let's go. Lin Yi happily held Di Xiaofeng's hand. Today we have to celebrate. We won't go home until we're drunk. This scene fell into Bailey Yunyan's heart, and a trace of bitterness appeared in her eyes. Yes, only such a woman is worthy to stand beside Di Xiaofeng. And I am still too insignificant. Thinking of this, she lowered her head, no longer looked at Di Xiaofeng, and left with the family team. After noticing Bailey Yunyan's action, Di Xiaofeng pulled away Lin Yi's hand and said, Wait for me. As soon as his voice fell, Di Xiaofeng quickly walked in the direction of Bailey Yunyan. However, Lin Yi looked at her empty hand, and a trace of loss quietly flashed in her dark eyes. Di Xiaofeng quickly walked to the Bailey family's team, and the children of the Bailey family were surprised after seeing Di Xiaofeng approaching. They couldn't get in touch with a character like Di Xiaofeng on normal days. Isn't this the young master of the Di family? Why is he approaching our team? It should be impossible for anyone in our family to know him. Could it be that someone has offended him? That would be troublesome. Just when the children of the Bailey family were guessing, Bailey Yunyan watched Di Xiaofeng's figure gradually approaching, but her heart was pounding. In the end, Di Xiaofeng stopped in front of Bailey Yunyan. Yunyan, something has happened. I have been staying in the family, so I couldn't tell you. Once I'm done with my family's business, I'll come and find you, okay? Di Xiaofeng's handsome face was filled with a warm smile. His gaze was shallow as he looked at Bailey Yunyan, but it was inexplicably moving. Bailey Yunyan stared blankly at Di Xiaofeng. She didn't expect Di Xiaofeng to come at this time. Moreover, he didn't seem to have changed at all. Most importantly, when she looked into his clear and resolute eyes, she suddenly felt that the distance between them had closed a little. The members of the Bailey family were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. From the looks of it, could it be that the young master of the Di family likes Yunyan? Isn't this too explosive? If that's really the case, then it's a big deal. Wow, Yunyan is so lucky. I'm so jealous of her. A blush appeared on Bailey Yunyan's face. Under the envious gazes of the crowd, she said, Yes. Chapter 47-58. Compared to Bailey Yunyan's happiness at this moment, Lin Yi felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. Her eyes followed Di Xiaofeng all the time. After seeing Di Xiaofeng's smile to Bailey Yunyan, Her hands gradually became cold, and her face began to turn pale. She had never seen Di Xiaofeng's smile and gaze. Although Di Xiaofeng was usually very kind to her, something was missing. She understood that it was love. Even though she already knew that Di Xiaofeng didn't like her, when she saw all this with her own eyes, her heart still felt like it was being cut by a knife. She had liked him for so many years. She was determined to marry him since she was a child. Now, he showed such a gentle smile to others. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw Di Xiaofeng go to Bailey Yunyan, her eyes fell on Lin Yi. Come to think of it, this incident must have hit Lin Yi hard. Sure enough, she saw the smile on Lin Yi's face gradually fade away. Her delicate face was pale as if she had lost her soul. She couldn't help but frown and start to feel distressed. Although this situation was within their expectations, they still couldn't help but feel distressed when they saw Lin Yi like this. Seeing this, Lin Qianqian immediately walked to Lin Yi's side. She said with concern and distress, "Yi, don't be sad." Bailey Hongzhuang also walked over and looked at Lin Yi worriedly. At this time, their comfort was powerless. Words were pale because no matter what they said, they couldn't offset Lin Yi's heartache at this moment. Di Xiaofeng was very fast. After speaking, he quickly walked back. After seeing Di Xiaofeng coming back, Lin Yi smiled again as if nothing had happened. "Big cousin," Lin Yi opened her mouth, but she didn't ask in the end. "Big cousin, let's go back quickly. I'm starving to death." Di Xiaofeng looked at Lin Yi with a complicated expression, then nodded and said, "Okay, let's go back." Seeing this, Lin Qianqian and Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at each other, but they were even more distressed. Lin Yi was completely deceiving herself and numbing herself. She was unwilling to accept this reality. However, judging from the current situation, even if Lin Yi wanted to deceive him, she wouldn't be able to deceive him for long. Lin Taxing and the others were also aware of the situation and felt somewhat helpless. If it was something else, everyone could think of a way. But when it came to matters of the heart, even if they wanted to help, there was nothing they could do. The members of the Bailey family were completely immersed in disbelief, surprise, and envy. "Yunyan, when did you meet Di Xiaofeng? From the looks of it, he seems to like you." "What do you mean by seems? Isn't it obvious? He likes Yunyan." "Yunyan, you're so lucky. Di Xiaofeng is the perfect lover in the eyes of so many girls. I'm so jealous that he likes you." The female members of the Bailey family were already going crazy. They all lamented that such a thing had never happened to them. The elder was also surprised. However, if Bailey Yunyan could really be together with Di Xiaofeng, it would be a great thing for their family. Chapter 4759. However, Lin Yi, who was the happiest, did not go. Everyone understood the reason for this. After trying to call several times, Lin Yi just refused to say that she was not feeling well. Everyone could only leave helplessly. Lin Qianqian stood outside the house, looking at the closed door. Her brows were knitted together. She was Lin Yi's sister. She naturally knew how deep Lin Yi's feelings for Di Xiaofeng were. Lin Yi almost dreamed that she could marry Di Xiaofeng, but such a dream could not be achieved. She understood that Lin Yi couldn't face all this at the moment, and she would not force her sister to face it. Since she wanted to be alone, then let her stay here alone. Without Lin Yi, this celebration was naturally less joyful. Lin Yi was usually the most lively person here. Thinking that she was probably hiding in the house and sad now, everyone couldn't be happy. As the initiator of this matter, Di Xiaofeng was also very helpless. He didn't want to hurt Lin Yi, but he really couldn't help it in this matter. "If I can, I really want to beat you up." Lin Qianqian looked at Di Xiaofeng fiercely. If someone else bullied her sister like this, she would have already taken action without hesitation. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng stared at Lin Qianqian and said, "You can hit me. This is all my fault. I am sorry for Yi." For a long time, he had also doted on Yi, his cousin, very much, but she was just a cousin. He couldn't develop any other feelings for her. However, seeing Yi sad, He felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Lin Qianqian grabbed Di Xiaofeng's collar with one hand and waved her fist without hesitation. Di Xiaofeng just stood there without moving. In fact, he would rather someone beat him up so that he would feel better in his heart. However, Lin Qianqian's fist stopped only 1 centimeter away from Di Xiaofeng's face. "Forget it. What's the use of hitting you?" Lin Qianqian sighed. "Can you be with Yi if I hit you?" As Lin Qianqian said, she shook her head. "If you don't really like Yi, then what's the point of being with Yi reluctantly? Yi is so good. She deserves a man who loves her wholeheartedly." As soon as he said this, everyone nodded in agreement. This was also what they were thinking. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen glanced at each other. From Bailey Hongzhuang's point of view, Di Xiaofeng was really too hurtful, but they also knew that Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan loved each other. This kind of thing could only be said to be fate. During dinner, Xiao He, Xiao Bai, and White Dragon came out together. However, when Bailey Hongzhuang did not see White Lion, she could not help but wonder, where did White Lion go? "White Lion is with Yi," Xiao He said. "Ah." Bailey Hongzhuang was surprised. "When did it go in?" "After Yi comes back, she will be with Baisher. Yi needs comfort now, so it's good that Baisher is accompanying her," Di Beichen said slowly. "At least this way we can rest assured." "Indeed." Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. If there was no one by Lin Yi's side now, they would not be at ease. Although Baisher was a beast, he was also a reliable beast. Chapter 4760. Today's Baisher already had the majesty of the Beast King. His fur was soft and shiny. His streamlined figure and domineering appearance were awe-inspiring in everyone's eyes. Lin Yi was shocked when she saw Baisher because such a beautiful and domineering beastkin was rare. The most important thing was that Baisher's fur was soft and warm. It was so comfortable to hug him. Since then, Lin Yi often hung out with Baisher. At first, Baisher refused Lin Yi's hug, but because of Lin Yi's identity, he could only accept it helplessly. After all, there was always a guy who would stick to him as soon as she saw him. He couldn't do anything, so he could only let it be. Gradually, Baisher got used to it. "Beichen, have you told Yi that Baisher will be able to transform into a human form soon?" Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly thought of this and couldn't help but ask. Di Beichen shook his head with a hint of doubt in his eyes. "Didn't you tell Yi?" "I thought you told her." Bailey Hongzhuang said. "I thought you told her too." Di Beichen responded. "I just think that Yi won't be able to hug Baisher willfully for long." Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged. Di Beichen smiled faintly. "In fact, it's good that you didn't tell her now. At least you can let Baisher accompany her. Otherwise, we won't feel at ease leaving her alone at this time." With Baisher, they didn't have to worry about Lin Yi doing stupid things. This was enough. The next day, Di Xiaofeng, Di Beichen, and Bailey Hongzhuang appeared together at the Bailey family's residence. Bailey Hongzhuang was also full of curiosity about the Bailey family. She just wanted to know if the current Bailey family and the Bailey family from 1,000 years ago were the same family. It's just that if they were to go over and ask, the other party would be suspicious. Fortunately, they knew Bailey Yunyan, so it was best to ask from her. Bailey Yunyan walked out of the Bailey family. Her face was red as she looked at Di Xiaofeng and then at the two strangers behind her. She smiled and said, "Xiaofeng, congratulations, you've finally found your brother." Ever since she met Di Xiaofeng, she knew that Di Xiaofeng had always been looking for Di Beichen, but he couldn't find him even after spending a lot of time and effort. She didn't expect that the brothers would finally reunite this time. She was also happy for Di Xiaofeng. Hearing Bailey Yunyan's words, Bailey Hongzhuang and the other two smiled. When Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen first met Bailey Yunyan, they were both in disguise. Therefore, Bailey Yunyan didn't recognize them at all. Seeing the three of them smile, Bailey Yunyan felt a bit strange. Could it be that she said something wrong? Just as she was confused, Di Xiaofeng said, "Yunyan, actually, you know Beichen and Hongzhuang. Hearing this, Bailey Yunyan was even more confused. I know them? I don't know them. They are Situ and Yixian. Di Xiaofeng smiled. What? Bailey Yunyan was dumbfounded. Her eyes widened as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Xiaofeng in disbelief. How is that possible? It's such a coincidence. We were in disguise. I didn't expect Xiaofeng to be Beichen's big brother. Bailey Hongzhuang explained with a smile. Chapter 4761. By the way, how is Miss Xier now? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Bailey Xi's condition was quite serious, but it gradually improved. They didn't see Bailey Xi in the alchemy competition this time, so they didn't know how she was doing now. Hearing this, a smile appeared on Bailey Yunyan's face. She is much better now, but because she was expelled from the family, she didn't come this time. So it's like that. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Miss Bailey, I really didn't expect you to be so beautiful. Bailey Yunyan's eyes were filled with amazement. When Bailey Hongzhuang stood on the stage, the first thing she noticed was not that Bailey Hongzhuang could represent her family in the alchemy competition at such a young age. The first thing she noticed was Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance. There was a beauty in the north, aloof and independent from the world. With one look, she could topple a city, and with another, she could topple a country. In the past, she didn't understand what kind of beauty could truly topple a city, but after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, she understood. When she saw Bailey Hongzhuang before she changed her appearance, although her appearance wasn't bad, it couldn't be compared to her current appearance. Miss Yunyan is too kind. Speaking of which, we are really fated. Bailey Yunyan's face was filled with excitement. Your surname is also Hongzhuang, what a coincidence. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. When I first saw you, I also felt that this was a kind of fate. Since everyone has so much to talk about, why don't we find a tea house to sit down? It's not appropriate to keep standing here. Di Xiaofeng looked to the side. Almost all the young disciples of the Bailey family were gathered here, and everyone's eyes fell on them. He only felt that if everyone continued to look at him like this, it wouldn't be a comfortable thing. After Bailey Yunyan noticed this scene, a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face, and she quickly said, That's right, why don't we go somewhere else? Ever since Di Xiaofeng came to find her yesterday, everyone had been asking her how she met Di Xiaofeng, which annoyed her to no end. She could imagine that when she came back later, she would be surrounded by everyone again. She felt extremely helpless. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen nodded, then went to the tea house together. Along the way, Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Hongzhuang were reminiscing about old times, while Bailey Hongzhuang, she was thinking about how to ask about the Bailey family. After all, it was strange for an outsider to suddenly ask about the Bailey Hongzhuang family. Di Xiaofeng's aunts and held hers. Yunyan the Baileys. Is this the way a family's S's? Di Beichen's dark and deep eyes flashed with a wise luster. His expression was indifferent, as if he had already seen through everything. In this kind of situation, Bailey Yunyan's attitude had already made her intentions clear. After all, he hadn't missed Bailey Yunyan's disappointment yesterday. Thinking about it, Yi's matter might have even helped Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan's relationship. Looking at Di Beichen's confident look, Bailey Hongzhuang also nodded. No matter what, she had to ask today. Chapter 4762. Di Xiaofeng noticed the strange expressions on Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen's faces, and a trace of doubt flashed through his eyes. He always felt that Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to have something on her mind, but he couldn't figure out what it was. Tea house. After Di Xiaofeng and Bailey Yunyan finished talking, Bailey Hongzhuang said, Miss Yunyan, I have something to ask you. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's serious expression, Bailey Yunyan also became serious. What is it? How long has your family been around? Hearing this, Bailey Yunyan was slightly stunned. She thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would ask some complicated questions, but she didn't expect that she would ask about her family's heritage. This was a bit strange. Although our Bailey family is just an ordinary family now, our family has been around for thousands of years. Bailey Union's face was full of pride. Even if the Bailey family was just an ordinary family in the eyes of others, they knew that their family used to be a very dazzling and powerful existence. It's just that it gradually declined. I don't know why you're asking this? At this time, Di Xiaofeng also said, I also heard that the Bailey family used to be a very powerful family, but I don't know what happened, and it gradually declined. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up when she heard that the Bailey family had been around for thousands of years. In addition, the Bailey family used to be a very powerful family. With these 2 points combined, her judgment was very likely to be true. Thinking that the Bailey family might still exist, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but feel happy. This was really good news. Back then, she passed away because of an accident and didn't explain many things to her family. In fact, she had always felt guilty in her heart. If she could confirm that the Bailey family still existed, then she would feel much better and even have a sense of belonging in her heart. After all, she was a member of the Bailey family. Hongzhuang's surname is also Bailey. According to the information passed down by her ancestors, her family used to be a very large one. After coming to the upper world, she learned about the Bailey family, so Hongzhuang wanted to know more about it, Di Beichen explained. Hearing Di Beichen's words, Bailey Yunyan was slightly taken aback. Then, her eyes lit up. Could it be that Lady Bailey's ancestors are of the same lineage as us? Although the possibility of this was not high, it was indeed possible if one thought about it carefully. In the past, the Bailey family was very powerful, and there were many direct descendants and branch descendants. After a few generations, many of the branch descendants went to other places. Naturally, it was also possible that they went to the lower world. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. That is indeed a possibility. That is why I wanted to ask. I hope Miss Yunyan can tell me. In my opinion, you don't have to call me Miss Yunyan. Just call me Yunyan. How about it? Bailey Yunyan said. She had always had a good impression of Bailey Hongzhuang. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, she would probably be dead by now. In addition, Bailey Hongzhuang was Di Xiaofeng's sister-in-law. She felt that this was fate. Okay, Bailey Hongzhuang replied with a smile. Just call me Hongzhuang. Chapter 4763. On the side, Di Xiaofeng finally understood what Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking about before. When he first found out that his sister-in-law's surname was also Bailey, he only felt that it was fate. He didn't expect that his sister-in-law and Bailey Yunyan might really have the same bloodline. How could this not be surprising? However, he felt that if Bailey Hongzhuang and Bailey Yunyan really had the same bloodline, then it was really fate. I want to know if there was a family head named Bailey Jingyu in your family? Bailey Hongzhuang asked in a deep voice, her dark phoenix eyes flashing with a nervous light. Bailey Jingyu was none other than Bailey Hongzhuang's grandfather. At that time, it was Bailey Hongzhuang who passed the position of family head to Bailey Hongzhuang. The old man was clearly old but strong, but he said that he wanted to rest all day, so he passed the position of family head to her early on. In fact, she also understood that it was because her father died in an accident. Her grandfather wanted to protect her and didn't want others to have the possibility of taking over the position of family head, so he did this. She originally wanted to lead the Bailey family to become stronger and stronger, but who would have thought that in the end, even she died in an accident. Thinking about it, her grandfather must have been very sad when he found out about this. Every time she thought of this, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a burst of pain and couldn't help but feel guilty. She let Bailey Jingyu send off her own child. Needless to say, she felt very sad in her heart. It was a pity that she had no way to let Bailey Jingyu know that she didn't die and was still alive. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Bailey Yunyan shook her head. In my memory, I don't seem to have heard of this family head. Miss Yunyan, Hongzhuang's bloodline has been in the lower realm for a long time. I hope you can go back and look at your family's genealogy. Maybe you can find it, Di Baichen said in a deep voice. Bailey Yunyan was slightly stunned, then her eyes lit up. You're right, I thought too simply. I'm afraid this is a matter from a long time ago. What I know is only the successive patriarchs in recent years. I really don't know anything about the patriarchs from many years ago. Why don't I go back and do some research? While speaking, Bailey Yunyan frowned again. We are now in the Waterchi city. The genealogy is in our family. I think even if I ask the Great Elder, he may not know. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, There's no need to rush. After we're done with the Immortal Cloud Secret Realm, you can find some time to help me ask around after you return to your family. She had already waited for so many years, and she didn't mind waiting a few more. Although he didn't have any concrete evidence, he was certain that the Bailey family was most likely the family she had been in, because there wouldn't be so many coincidences. Since the Bailey family had been passed down for many years and was once a big family, it was impossible for there to be two Bailey family at the same time. Hongzhuang, don't worry. I'll help you inquire about it as soon as I return to my clan, Bailey Yunyan said. Thank you very much. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. You're too courteous. Bailey Yunyan waved her hand. This is nothing. I'm just going back to inquire about it. I haven't even thanked you properly when you helped treat my sister. Chapter 4764. Listening to Di Xiaofeng's words, the smile in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes deepened a little. She immediately nodded with a smile. Yes, we are all on the same side, so I won't say more polite words. Bailey Yunyan's expression changed. A trace of shyness quietly appeared in her eyes, but she didn't continue to talk about this topic. Not speaking was equivalent to acquiescence. Di Xiaofeng, Di Baichen, and Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at each other. They already understood a little in their hearts. Lin Yi, who stayed in the house, was very sad. Although she already knew that big cousin only regarded her as a sister, she never gave up. After all, she had liked him for so many years, and she never thought of other possibilities in her mind. Now that she saw that Di Xiaofeng already had someone he liked, the sadness in her heart was self-evident. White Lion, do you think I should give up? Lin Yi raised her red and swollen eyes, looking at White Lion in front of her. She muttered with her small mouth, looking as aggrieved as possible. White Lion looked at Lin Yi, who was hugging him as a pillow, and his eyes flashed with a strong sense of helplessness. In fact, his original intention was to go out with his master for a big meal, but he didn't expect to be dragged in by Lin Yi directly. Since the first time he saw Lin Yi, he had become her pillow. Although he had struggled many times, it was obviously useless. White Lion, what's with your gaze? Lin Yi frowned and looked at White Lion. I am already so sad, and you still don't want to care about it. Aren't you too heartless? Listening to Lin Yi's words, White Lion restrained himself a little and let the other party hug him. Anyway, he was already used to it. What's more, Lin Yi always looked happy on weekdays. Her appearance today was really distressing. Seeing White Lion's attitude change, Lin Yi's heart also warmed a little. I know, White Lion, you are the best to me. Lin Yi rubbed her face on White Lion, but the sadness in her eyes still did not dissipate. You say, if I give up like this, isn't it a pity? I have liked Big Cousin for so many years, and my heart has never changed. Just as Baisher was about to speak, Lin Yi said again, but if you really love someone, you should want to see him happy. Eldest cousin doesn't like me. Even if he really gets together with me, he probably won't be happy. Lin Yi looked bitter. She couldn't help but think of Di Xiaofeng's expression when he saw Bailey Yunyan today. White Lion, do you know? I have never seen Big Cousin look at any woman with such a warm gaze, but I saw it today. From the moment I saw the look in his eyes, I knew I had failed, and it was impossible. Actually, I was very clear in my heart that perhaps my persistence these past few years was unreasonable in everyone's eyes. Not only did it not bring any happiness to Big Cousin, but it also made him feel a lot more helpless. I've thought about giving up before, but it's one thing to think about it, and another thing to do it. Every time I think about giving up, I can't help but feel my heart ache. I always think that maybe one day Big Cousin will change his mind. Maybe he will fall in love with me. Lin Yi had tears in the corner of her eyes, but I can't lie to myself anymore. Looking at Lin Yi like this, Baisher's gaze gradually changed. Chapter 4765. Originally, Baisher couldn't understand Lin Yi's persistence. In his opinion, Di Xiaofeng had always shown it clearly. In this matter, Di Xiaofeng had tried his best to do the best he could, but Lin Yi was unwilling to give up. At this moment, after hearing Lin Yi's words, he began to understand. In fact, Lin Yi was not ignorant, nor was she willful or unreasonable. It was because her love was too deep, so she couldn't let go. Come to think of it, if you like someone to the bone, wanting to give up is not an easy thing to do. He thought that Lin Yi would still not choose to give up after today, but now hearing what she said, he suddenly felt that Lin Yi was also very cute. Just when Baisher was about to comfort Lin Yi, he found that she had fallen asleep due to exhaustion from crying. Seeing this, Baisher also sighed in his heart. He might have thought too much. Lin Yi called him in just to talk to herself, not to ask him for an answer. As early as after the end of the alchemy competition, the great elder immediately conveyed the result back to the Di family. Di Yujue had actually been a little worried during this period of time. Although he had already expected that his family would not be able to obtain good results in this alchemy competition, he felt that the Jun family would definitely not let go of the opportunity to add insult to injury. He only hoped that the family's juniors would not be affected by this incident. After all, this time, Di Xiaofeng and others would not be in the limelight. On the contrary, they would be ridiculed and suppressed. If they could persist in such a situation without affecting their state of mind, it would actually be a kind of training for them. It was just that as a cultivator of the Di family, they had always been in the limelight in the outside world. He was afraid that everyone would not be able to accept such a situation. He was also a little worried. After learning that the Xiao family had formed an alliance with the Jun family, Di Yujue was also very angry. He didn't expect the Xiao family to be so heartless this time. They made such a decision when their Di family needed help. This feeling was tantamount to being betrayed again, which made Di Yujue extremely annoyed. Di Yujue wasn't the only one who was worried. Di Linxian and the others couldn't help but worry as well. The alchemy competition has already ended. I think the news will come back soon. Xia Wanrong's face faintly revealed some worry as she rubbed her hands. Di Linxian nodded slightly. That's right. According to the usual days, we should be able to receive the results today. I hope the children will not be affected in such a situation. Di Yujue's eyes darkened slightly. As the head of the family, it was indeed his fault that he did not provide better protection for his family's disciples. Seeing Di Yujue blaming himself, Xia Wanrong couldn't help but say, Yujue, this matter is not your fault. We misjudged Medicine Master Qin at that time, so we ended up in this situation today. This will never happen again, Di Linxian said seriously. Just as they were talking, the second elder quickly rushed over. Patriarch, the news has arrived. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone present changed. Quick, let me see. Chapter 4766. After noticing the change in Di Yujue's expression, Lin Yunqing couldn't help but feel puzzled. Yujue, is there any good news? After reading the contents of the letter, Di Yujue couldn't help but laugh. God really blesses the Di family, ha ha. After hearing the news, the elders of the Di family also rushed over. As soon as they arrived, they heard Di Yujue's happy voice and their faces were filled with confusion and joy. Although they didn't know what was going on, from Di Yujue's expression, they could tell that something good must have happened. Di Linxian and Xia Wanrong were also curious. Di Yujue was still in a gloomy mood. Why did he suddenly change? It turns out that we've always underestimated Hong Zhuang. Di Yujua's voice was deep and apologetic, but his eyes were unusually bright. Master, what do you mean by this? Second elder couldn't help but ask. They were too curious. Previously, Hong Zhuang told me that she had broken through to become an 8th-tier alchemist, but I didn't believe it. I didn't expect it to be true. As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Immediately after, when everyone came to their senses, their faces were filled with joy. Master, does this mean that second madam has won a place in the alchemy competition? Everyone quickly connected the dot. Other than this, there was obviously no other possibility. Di Yujua smiled and nodded. That's right. After hearing this affirmative answer, everyone heaved a sigh of relief and felt as if the stone in their hearts had been lifted. Previously, because the Di family didn't have an 8th-tier alchemist, they were bound to lose face in the alchemy competition. Everyone had been very worried. Regardless of Bailey Hongzhuang's ranking, as long as she was able to win a place, she had already won back a lot of dignity. I didn't expect my precious granddaughter-in-law to be so amazing. Xia Wanrong couldn't help but exclaim with a smile on her face. Hong Zhuang not only broke through to become a level 8 alchemist, she also helped the 7th elder and the 8th elder to become level 8 alchemists. Di Yujua dropped another bomb. If he didn't recognize the handwriting on the note as the first elder's, he wouldn't believe it at all. However, after hearing Di Yujua's words, the crowd suddenly quieted down. Everyone stared at Di Yujua with their eyes wide open, wondering if they had heard wrongly. Yujua, what did you just say? Say it again, Lin Yunqing asked. Actually, it wasn't that she didn't hear clearly, but she felt that she must have misheard. I said, Hong Zhuang helped the 2 elders to become level 8 alchemists. Di Yujua emphasized. Is this true? Absolutely. Everyone took a deep breath. At this moment, they didn't know how to express their feelings. The second young madam is too amazing. Over the years, the 7th elder and the 8th elder have been racking their brains to become level 8 alchemists, but they have never succeeded. The second young madam can actually guide them to become level 8 alchemists. How great is her attainment in alchemy? In that case, could it be that our family has 3 level 8 alchemists participating in this alchemy competition? The third elder suddenly thought of this and quickly said. Chapter 4767. That's right. Our clan has 3 8th-grade alchemists participating in the competition. Di Yujua's face was full of smiles. Bailey Hongzhuang had really given him a big surprise this time. Despite the mountains and rivers, a glimmer of hope appears at the end of the tunnel. They had thought that they were at their wits' end this time. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge reversal in the end? In that case, our clan's results are very good this time? Lin Yunqing could not help but ask. Of course. Di Yujua had a smile on his face. This time, our family has been the center of attention in the alchemy competition. We've stolen everyone's limelight. When Di Linxian heard this, he could not help but frown. Even if our clan has 3 8th-grade alchemists participating in the competition, it shouldn't be enough to steal everyone's limelight, right? Just the brat from the Ouyang clan alone is not something that can be stolen by others. Father, you've guessed wrong. Di Yujua waved his hand. The first place of this alchemy competition is Hong Zhuang. When he said this, everyone present was dumbfounded. Di Linxian and the rest stared blankly at Di Yujua, only thinking that they must have been hallucinating. Yujua, the first place you just accepted is Hong Zhuang? Xia Wanrong could not help but ask again. Mother, you didn't hear wrongly. This is all true. Di Yujua handed the letter in his hand to Di Linxian. Di Linxian and Xia Wanrong immediately read the contents of the letter together. When they read it, the two of them were completely stunned. This is really too unbelievable. It seems that this time, our clan's disciples who meet the requirements can all participate in the Immortal Cloud secret realm, Di Yujua said with a smile. At this moment, the elders also understood that they were not hallucinating. An indescribable joy surged in their hearts. Second Madam is actually the first place of the alchemy competition. Usually, this first place is taken by the Alchemist Guild. Our clan has never obtained first place before. This time, we've really stolen the limelight. Isn't Second Madam a doctor? How can his attainments in alchemy be so amazing? I don't know what to say anymore. Our Second Madam is a genius among geniuses. All the elders sighed with emotion. This surprise was simply too great. I didn't expect my precious granddaughter-in-law to be so amazing. Xia Wanrong's face was full of joy. This girl is usually too low-key. We didn't notice at all. Lin Yunqing also nodded. Hong Zhuang is indeed a good child. She's neither arrogant nor impatient. She's not like those young people who like to be in the limelight. The heavens are really protecting our D family. When Hong Zhuang comes back, we must reward her well. Di Linxian smiled. Speaking of which, my precious grandson has good taste. For a moment, the entire D family was immersed in joy. When Bailey Hong Zhuang returned to the elixir store, she found that there were many people inside. Second Madam, you're back, Di Chuyuan said with a smile when he saw Bailey Hong Zhuang return. President Lu is here. At the same time, Bailey Hong Zhuang also noticed Lu Yuhai. Astonishment immediately appeared on her face. Greetings, President Lu. Bailey Hong Zhuang bowed. Lu Yuhai smiled and looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang. Miss Bailey, I took the liberty to come and disturb you today. It's my honor to have President Lu here. How is this a disturbance? Bailey Hong Zhuang hurriedly said. Chapter 4768. Ever since he saw Bailey Hong Zhuang's performance in the pill refining competition, Lu Yuhai's admiration for Bailey Hong Zhuang grew. On one hand, Bailey Hong Zhuang had cured the old president's unmentionable illness, so he was filled with gratitude towards Bailey Hong Zhuang. On the other hand, he didn't see any youthful vigor in Bailey Hong Zhuang. On the contrary, he saw a steadiness and magnanimity that didn't match her age. Originally, he felt that the Holy Maiden was one of the most outstanding people in the younger generation. However, compared to Bailey Hong Zhuang in the pill refining competition, she was clearly much weaker. I'll get straight to the point. Lu Yuhai noticed the doubt on the faces of Bailey Hong Zhuang and the others, so he smiled and said, I'm here to invite Miss Bailey to join our Alchemist Guild. Hearing this, Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes lit up. Ever since she found out about the Alchemist Guild, she also wanted to join it. According to her estimations, although the Alchemist Guild was an organization, its management was rather loose. Generally speaking, the alchemists in the Alchemist Guild weren't restricted too much. On the contrary, they could obtain quite a bit of convenience there. After all, the Alchemist Guild was spread all over the place. It was undoubtedly the most convenient place to find medicinal herbs. She was already an 8th-level alchemist. Although the D family had quite a number of 8th-level spiritual herbs, there were still 2 other alchemists. Naturally, there would be some restrictions if she used them for practice. If she joined the Alchemist Guild, it would undoubtedly be much more convenient for her to obtain these spiritual herbs. She originally wanted to make a trip there in a few days, but she didn't expect that President Lu would personally invite her. When Di Chuyuan and the others heard this, their eyes flashed with astonishment. They originally thought that President Lu was here for the lost pill formula in Bailey Hong Zhuang's hands. After all, this item was a great treasure to anyone. It was especially useful to the Alchemist Guild. Therefore, their attitude towards President Lu was somewhat conflicted. However, they didn't expect that President Lu was here to invite Bailey Hong Zhuang to join the Alchemist Guild. Logically speaking, even if it was an invitation, it would be sufficient for the branch president of Chishui City to do so. President Lu personally inviting her was a little frightening. To trouble President Lu to personally invite me, Hong Zhuang is truly terrified. Bailey Hong Zhuang cupped her hands, seemingly overwhelmed by the favor. Although her performance in the alchemy competition this time wasn't bad, to trouble the Alchemist Association's president to personally invite her was still a little shocking. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's reaction, Lu smiled. I have always cherished treasured talents. You don't have to worry because of my status. You're so young, yet you're able to become an 8th-grade alchemist. Even I feel ashamed of my inferiority to such a talent. In the future, alchemy will be your world. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Lu's faces, Lu's face, Lu was Lu's, face for Had's faces. Hong Lu Wei's, Lu's, and faces Master Lu. His ants with his. As a leader, there were naturally many people who cherished talent. However, there were also many people who were willing to kill any seedlings that could affect their position. Clearly, Guild Master Lu wasn't such a person. If Miss Bailey is willing, then please join our Alchemist Guild. I would like to invite you to become a deacon of the Alchemist Guild. Here, we can provide you with a lot of convenience in refining pills. Furthermore, there aren't many restrictions on you. Chapter 4769. After saying that, Lu Yuhai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. He believed that Bailey Hongzhuang wouldn't reject his offer. When everyone heard that Lu Yuhai had invited Bailey Hongzhuang to become a deacon, they were all very surprised. I never thought that President Lu would invite sister-in-law to become a deacon. This is a huge recognition of sister-in-law. I heard that Ouyang Jifeng is also a deacon of the Alchemist Guild. This deacon has much more authority than ordinary alchemists. Di Xiaofeng's eyes were brimming with happiness. Now that he saw that Bailey Hongzhuang was recognized by so many people, he felt happy from the bottom of his heart. Di Beichen's eyes also brightened when he heard this. The corner of his lips had a faint smile. He felt that after coming to the upper realm, his wife would soar into the sky. How could a golden carp be a fish in a pond? Once it meets the wind and clouds, it will become a dragon. This place was more suitable for Bailey Hongzhuang. Although Bailey Hongzhuang didn't know what kind of authority a deacon had, she knew that it was much better than an ordinary member. Then I'll have to thank President Lu. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had agreed, the smile on Lu Yuhai's face gradually widened. It is our honor that Miss Bailey is willing to join our Alchemist Guild. Only after guild leader Lu left did the members of the Di family relax. Second young madam, congratulations. Di Hengyun's face was filled with joy as he cupped his hands towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Becoming a deacon of the Alchemist Guild is something that many alchemists hope to achieve. 8th Elder, what's the difference after becoming a deacon? Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but ask when she saw that Di Hengyun was an understanding person. The most important thing for us alchemists to join the guild is to exchange for medicinal ingredient. Once we become a deacon, we only need to pay half the price when exchanging for medicinal ingredient. The most important thing is that the deacon has priority when exchanging for medicinal herbs. This is very convenient when you need some more precious medicinal herbs. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly realized that the price of the 8th rank spiritual grass was very expensive. She didn't expect that the deacon would have such a benefit. It helped her save a lot of money. Not only that, but if you want to exchange for pill formulas, books, and the like, it will be more convenient than ordinary alchemists, and the things you have to pay will also be less. The Alchemist Association's deacon had a certain status. Ordinary alchemists would need to salute when they saw you. If someone dares to cause trouble for you, the status of a deacon is also very helpful. This means that behind you is the Alchemist Association. Whoever dares to make a move on you will have to carefully consider it. Following Di Hengyun's words, everyone's eyes were filled with envy. They didn't think that becoming a deacon would bring so many benefits. Di Beichen's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. He was originally worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would be wronged because she had no background. Now that she had such a background, it was undoubtedly a great thing. Second madam, the only deacon as young as you is Ouyang Jifeng. Di Yunhe chuckled. Once this news spreads out, I'm afraid that many alchemists will envy you. One had to know that he and Di Hengyun had also joined the Alchemist Association. Obviously, they didn't have the qualifications to receive this. The Di family's disciples were also very happy to see that Bailey Hongzhuang had received such a title. Bailey Hongzhuang was a member of the Di family. They were also proud of her. However, Bailey Hongzhuang had to go to Waterchi City to get the badge later. Chapter 4770. After eating lunch, Bailey Hongzhuang walked towards the Alchemist Guild. In this Waterchi City, the Alchemist Guild was undoubtedly a very conspicuous building. Not long after, Bailey Hongzhuang saw a building that was shaped like a pill furnace. On top of it, there were 5 steady and imposing words written in black: Alchemist Guild. The moment she saw these words, a steady and restrained aura hit her in the face. It was just like the Alchemist Guild's characteristics: steady, serious, and low-key. Although the exterior of the building looked extremely deep, when Bailey Hongzhuang walked in, she found that the interior was extremely bright and showed a low-key luxury everywhere. On the surface, there didn't seem to be too many decorations, but overall, it gave people a kind of imposing feeling. The hall on the first floor was obviously very lively. It was full of people, and the most lively place was the place where medicinal pills were sold. After all, a cultivator's cultivation couldn't be separated from medicinal pills. Another place that was more lively was the medicinal ingredients collection area. There were many cultivators who were carrying medicinal ingredients to trade. After Bailey Hongzhuang walked in, many gazes were attracted to her. No matter when or where, a beauty would always attract people's attention. When everyone noticed that the person who came was actually Bailey Hongzhuang, everyone's eyes became even brighter. Isn't this Bailey Hongzhuang who won first place in this year's alchemy competition? At that time, I saw her from afar. At that time, I felt that she was a celestial being. Today, when I saw her up close, I didn't expect that I would be even more shocked. She also came to the Alchemist Guild. I heard that she came from the lower realm. Could it be that she came here today to join the Alchemist Guild? While the cultivators who came to exchange medicinal ingredients were having a heated discussion, the people in the Alchemist Guild also noticed Bailey Hongzhuang's existence. The attendant quickly walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side with a polite smile on his face. "May I ask if you are Miss Bailey?" Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. "That's right, it's me." After receiving an affirmative answer, the attendant's expression changed a little. His words were full of politeness, and he didn't dare to neglect in the slightest. "Miss Bailey, the president has already informed me that you might come over in the afternoon. Please wait here for a moment, I will inform the president." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, "I'm only here today to fill in the information and receive the badge. There's no need to alarm the president. This president is naturally not President Liu Yuhai, but the president of Water Praying City's branch. The president instructed me to inform him if you're coming today. Please rest for a while. I'll be back soon, okay?" Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang also understood that the branch president really wanted to see her. She immediately nodded and said, "Okay." Not long after she sat down, several figures appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. When she saw the figure at the head of the group, there was a trace of surprise in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. She wasn't unfamiliar with this person, because this person was one of the judges of the alchemy competition. She had heard the 7th elder mention this person before, so he should be President Xue Changdong. "Miss Bailey, you are here. Welcome, welcome." When he saw Bailey Hongzhuang, Xue Changdong's face revealed a joyful smile. "I am the president of Water Praying City's Alchemist Guild, Xue Changdong. President Xue, I've heard a lot about you." Bailey Hongzhuang bowed and said. Chapter 4771. Immediately after, Xue Zhangdong introduced the vice president and the others to Bailey Hongzhuang. That kind of cordial appearance seemed to treat Bailey Hongzhuang as one of their own. Bailey Hongzhuang also recognized one by one. Only then did Shui Zhangdong introduce her. From today onwards, Miss Bailey will be the deacon of the Alchemist Guild. Once these words were spoken, a trace of astonishment appeared in the eyes of the surrounding people. However, the vice president and the others obviously already knew about this, so they didn't feel strange. With Miss Bailey's talent, she is indeed worthy of the position of deacon, the vice president said with a smile. There were many alchemists in the hall. After hearing this news, everyone's hearts were extremely shocked. Bailey Hongzhuang's treatment is really extraordinary. She just joined the Alchemist Guild today and is already a deacon. Her future is really limitless. This is also how it should be. She is the champion of this alchemy competition. With this kind of genius, even if she doesn't become a deacon now, she will definitely become one in the future. I think the Alchemist Guild made a very smart decision. Comparisons are odious. When I saw Ouyang Jifeng before, I already felt that his talent was terrifying. I didn't expect that an even more terrifying one would appear now. Everyone sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance in this alchemy competition had already become a household name in a short period of time. This limelight completely overshadowed the other genius disciples. Therefore, in this Water Qi city, there was already no one who didn't know Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, this is your rank 8 alchemist badge and deacon's token. I have already prepared them for you. The vice president smiled faintly and handed the two things to Bailey Hongzhuang. Looking at the glittering badge and the dark token, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a smile and said, I have troubled you, vice president. It's just a small matter. No need to worry. Miss Bailey, from today onwards, you are a member of our Alchemist Guild. For this reason, we have also prepared some small gifts for you. Why don't you come with me to choose? During the alchemy competition, Shui Zhangdong had already admired Bailey Hongzhuang. Although Bailey Hongzhuang was very young, he did not treat Bailey Hongzhuang as a junior, because his alchemy skills were enough for him to treat him as an equal. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't think that the Alchemist Guild would actually prepare a gift for her, and a trace of surprise involuntarily appeared in her eyes. Guild leader Shui, you're too polite. Deacon Bai Li, you don't have to be courteous. This is also our kind intentions. Congratulations on becoming a deacon of our Alchemist Association. Our water-praying city branch is very honored to become your branch. Shui Zhangdong knew very well that with Bailey Hongzhuang's talent, she would definitely become a leader in the future. Taking advantage of this opportunity to get closer to Bailey Hongzhuang was undoubtedly an extremely smart move. Bailey Hongzhuang naturally guessed what they were thinking. She immediately cupped her hands and said, Thank you, President Shui. She also had a very good impression of Shui Zhangdong. If he needed her help in the future, she would not refuse. According to the elders, the water-praying city branch was one of the more outstanding branches of the Alchemist Guild. Presumably, there would be many treasures here. She would soon enter the Immortal Cloud secret realm. If she could have more treasures to protect herself at this time, it would be extremely good. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang agree, the smile on Shui Zhangdong's face became even wider. Chapter 4772. Under Shui Zhangdong's guidance, Bailey Hongzhuang quickly arrived at the Alchemist Guild's treasury. Along the way, she discovered that the path to the treasury was extremely well hidden. It was almost impossible for anyone to enter without knowing the way. Even if she knew the way in, she could not enter the treasury on her own because the defenses here were extremely terrifying. Standing outside the treasure pavilion, Shui Zhangdong stopped and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. This is the treasure pavilion. Bailey Hongzhuang can choose any 3 items here as our gift to you. Thank you. After saying her thanks, Bailey Hongzhuang entered the Hidden Treasures Pavilion. As soon as she entered, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes lit up. There were many good things in the treasury. She had only taken one look and had already noticed many precious medicinal herbs. These medicinal herbs were treasures that could only be found in auctions outside. She never thought that she would be able to find so many different types of medicinal herbs in the treasury. However, when she thought about it carefully, she realized that the Alchemist Guild had the most medicinal herbs, so she calmed down. Master, there are many treasures here. Xiao Hei's eyes sparkled with excitement. Every time it saw these treasures, it could not help but feel excited. It's a pity that I can only choose 3 out of so many treasures. Won't I be dazzled by the selection? Bailey Hongzhuang stretched out her hand and flicked Xiao Hei's head. She then said exasperatedly, "The treasures here are all very valuable. President Shui is already being very generous by allowing me to choose 3 items." Generally speaking, being able to choose one treasure was already very difficult. 3 treasures were enough to prove how much President Shui valued her. Alright, I'm just feeling a little heartache when I see so many treasures slipping away from my eyes. Xiao Hei clutched its chest and looked as if its heart was aching. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and ignored Xiao Hei. She then swept her gaze across the shelves in front of her. Everything here was indeed a treasure, but she wanted to choose 3 that were most suitable for her current needs. After looking at many shelves, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was moved by many treasures. However, she did not make a decision rashly. Instead, she chose with a goal in mind. In the end, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze stopped on a pair of couple swords. Silk Cutter Sword, Severed Passion Sword. Bailey Hongzhuang murmured the names of these 2 swords. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. These were obviously a pair of couple swords, but she did not know why they had been named. When she had first laid eyes on these swords, she had felt their sharpness. Clearly, these were 2 peerless swords. However, she had tried to pull the swords out of their scabbards, but she had not been able to remove the swords. Master, these swords as swords. Hongzhuang recognized Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. Xiao Hei naturally had good eyesight. After seeing the situation of these 2 swords, he had already guessed the reason. Bailey Hongzhuang's YSSS. Following the increase in her and Di Baichen's powers, the swords in their hands could no longer keep up with their cultivations. They were about to enter the immortal cloud mystery realm. According to her judgment, once a treasure appeared, a fight would be unavoidable. A suitable sword was very important to them. Most importantly, when she had laid eyes on these swords, she had a feeling that they were fated to meet. Chapter 47-73. Master, are you going to choose these 2 swords? Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had picked up the 2 swords, Xiao Hei could not help but ask, "If we bring these swords back, and they fail to recognize us as their master, wouldn't we have taken them for nothing?" There were so many treasures here, and each of them was extremely valuable. She had to make use of them to their fullest potential. If they failed to recognize them as their master, they would be considered as trash. It would be a waste of a good opportunity. Seeing the worry in Xiao Hei's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and said, "I understand what you are thinking. However, these 2 swords are obviously treasures. Although there is a possibility that they might fail to recognize us as their master, there is also a possibility that they might recognize us as their master. We have to look on the bright side. Even if they fail to recognize us as their master, it doesn't matter." Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm. From the moment she had chosen these 2 swords, she was already mentally prepared. Even if she did not succeed in the end, she would not regret it. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had already made up her mind, Xiao Hei sighed and said, "All right then, I believe that you will succeed." "Good girl," Bailey Hongzhuang said with a smile as she patted Xiao Hei's head. After choosing the 2 swords, Bailey Hongzhuang finally chose a talisman. This talisman was able to defend against a full-powered attack from a Moonlight State cultivator. Obviously, this talisman was a protective talisman for her now. Although this talisman could only be used once, it was equivalent to another life. It was extremely useful. No one could guarantee that they would not meet with any danger after entering the Divine Cloud secret realm. With this protective talisman, they would undoubtedly be much safer. When it came to protecting their lives, Bailey Hongzhuang had always been very willing to part with her life. Once she lost her life, she would have nothing left. After choosing the 3 treasures, Bailey Hongzhuang did not hesitate and immediately walked out of the treasury. When Shui Zhangdong saw Bailey Hongzhuang come out, his gaze immediately fell on the 2 sharp swords in her hands. "Deacon Bailey, you've chosen this pair of couple swords?" Shui Zhangdong's eyes were full of smiles. "It seems that you and the second son of the D family are really close." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and did not say anything, which was equivalent to a tacit agreement. "When I saw you and the second son of the D family that day, I felt that the 2 of you were a match made in heaven. Deacon Bailey is so outstanding, I'm sure the second son of the D family must be a dragon among men as well." "Guild leader Shui, you flatter me." Shui Zhangdong smiled faintly. "These 2 swords are indeed treasures, but it's not easy to get them to recognize you as their master." The owners of these 2 swords were lovers who caused a sensation in the world. However, in the end, both of them fell in a great battle, and the 2 swords were left behind. Later on, there were cultivators who tried to get these 2 swords to recognize you as their master, but none of them succeeded. I don't know the details, but I hope you will succeed. Hearing Shui Zhangdong's words, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but look at the 2 swords in her hands. These were also 2 swords with spiritual energy. "Thank you very much, Guild Leader Shui. These things will be of great help to me. Deacon Bailey, you're too courteous. I hope you will be able to reap good rewards in the Immortal Cloud secret realm this time." Shui Zhangdong only returned after Bailey Hongzhuang had walked out of the Alchemist Guild. The news of Bailey Hongzhuang becoming the deacon of the Alchemist Guild gradually spread, and many cultivators were shocked. Everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had really soared to the sky this time. Chapter 4774. "Master, why are there so many people gathered here?" Xiao He looked at the large group of cultivators gathered in front of the elixir shop in puzzlement. When they left, it wasn't so lively. What happened in such a short time? "I don't know." Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and smiled. "Let's go in and take a look." As Bailey Hongzhuang approached, the crowd in front of the elixir shop turned to look at her, their eyes shining with excitement. After noticing the eager gazes of the crowd, Xiao He couldn't help but ask, "Master, why do I feel like these people are looking at you like wolves who have been starving for a long time and finally saw meat?" The way their eyes lit up was a little scary. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips twitched slightly. "I'm not sure, Miss Bailey. I wonder if you can help me refine an 8 revolutions Bodhi pill? The cost is not a problem. It's definitely not a problem." Yes, Miss Bailey, please help me refine one too. The price will definitely satisfy you. Help me refine it, I'll pay the highest price. Don't fight with me, I'll do it. For a moment, Bailey Hongzhuang was completely surrounded by the crowd. At the same time, she understood that these people were all here to ask her to help refine the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill. After knowing what was going on, Bailey Hongzhuang also breathed a sigh of relief. The 8 revolutions Bodhi pill had been lost, and this pill was very useful to cultivators. It was normal for such a situation to occur. In fact, when she went to the Alchemist Guild today, she thought that the Alchemist Guild would want her pill formula. She didn't expect President Shui to not mention it. This made her feel surprised and relieved at the same time. To her, the pill formula might not be that valuable. Just like when she was in the Penglai Palace, she didn't hesitate to hand over the pill formula. However, now that she was a member of the D family, she naturally had to consider the interests of the family. It was obviously the most beneficial for the family if the pill formula didn't fall into the hands of others. In reality, it was just as Bailey Hongzhuang had thought. The Alchemist Association indeed wanted to obtain the 8 revolutions Bodhi pill's pill formula. However, compared to a talent like Bailey Hongzhuang, they were more willing to recruit her. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang had the support of the D family. Even if they used force, it would be useless. Moreover, they would offend Bailey Hongzhuang. Under such circumstances, they made the wisest decision. Di Baichen immediately went to Bailey Hongzhuang and pulled her behind him. At the same time, Di Chuyuan and the others appeared as well, and they hurriedly said, "Stop squeezing." Before Bailey Hongzhuang returned, this group of people had already surrounded the entire medicinal pill shop. No matter what they said, it was useless. They were really helpless. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang had come back, she was naturally blocked by everyone at the first moment. When Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the medicinal pill shop, Di Baichen said helplessly, "These people all came to ask for the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill. No matter how much I refused, their enthusiasm didn't extinguish." Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. She naturally understood that the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill could give everyone the possibility of breaking through again. Naturally, they racked their brains to exchange for it. Chapter 4775. Ever since the end of the alchemy competition, the Di family had become extremely lively. In a short period of time, Di Chuyuan had already approached the cultivators of several families. The other party's purpose was very simple. First, they wanted to get closer to the Di family. Second, they wanted to find a way to obtain the 8 turns Bodhi pill. As for the reward, it was naturally not bad at all. In the face of the other party's passionate pleading, Di Chuyuan was a little helpless. After all, many families had a good relationship with them. Although many families had distanced themselves from them because of the alliance between the Xiao family and the Jun family, now they wanted to make up for it. Although it was a little ironic in his eyes, he could not completely refuse. After all, every family needed some help. Even if he knew that the other party was not completely sincere to him, he still had to put in some effort on the surface. Between families, there were very few true connections. More often than not, it was a combination of interests. Therefore, Di Chuyuan was extremely calm in this situation. "Sister-in-law, you have really become a delicious cake in everyone's eyes." Di Xiaofeng smiled faintly and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. "I also want to exchange an 8 turns Bodhi pill from you. Murong Jing is my good brother. If he needs it." Di Xiaofeng scratched his head embarrassedly. If it was someone else, he would have directly refused. However, Murong Jing was his good brother. Even when everyone was not optimistic about them, Murong Jing never gave up on him. He would remember this friendship in his heart. Therefore, when Murong Jing made this request, he had no way to refuse. Therefore, he could only shamelessly ask Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing Di Xiaofeng and Di Chuyuan's embarrassed appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile gradually deepened. "Big brother, why are you so embarrassed? We are all family. This is just a matter of saying a word." Her voice fell, and Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out 2 white porcelain bottles from her arms and handed them to Di Xiaofeng. "Dage, Great Elder, these are 2 batches of 8 Revolutions Bodhi Dan that I refined. You can handle it." With her current situation, it was obviously not suitable for her to intervene in this kind of family interest matter. Most importantly, she did not have the energy to do so. The Great Elder and Di Xiaofeng were the ones who understood this situation the best, so it was best to give them the pill. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang immediately take out 2 bottles of pills, Di Xiaofeng and Di Chuyuan were slightly surprised. Then the warmth in their eyes deepened. "Sister-in-law, thank you so much." Di Xiaofeng smiled. "Big brother, you're too polite. Second madam, your pills can help us fight for a lot of benefits." Di Chuyuan also sighed as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. One had to know that the 8 Revolutions Bodhi elixir was hard to come by. As long as he took out the 8 Revolutions Bodhi pill, he would be able to exchange it for many treasures that he couldn't normally trade for. Most importantly, he would be able to gain a favor from the other party. It was undoubtedly a very worthwhile trade. "This is what I should do. If Great Elder has any other needs, you can tell me directly. I only have these 2 bottles of pills on me now. If you need more, I can refine some more." Di Chuyuan waved his hand. "Second madam, the 2 batches of pills you gave us are enough. There's no need to trouble you to refine more. Chapter 47-76. Seeing that Di Chuyuan didn't seem to be faking it, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. If you treat me as one of your own, then there's no need to be so formal. Just tell me if you need anything. Hongzhuang is right, there's no need to be so polite. Di Beichen also spoke. As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of everyone present were filled with joy and joy. The Di family elders looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen with satisfaction. They never thought that the second young master and second young mistress, who they finally found, would be so close. All their previous worries were for nothing. "Oh right, second young mistress. Here are some places for you." Di Chuyuan took out some identity cards and handed them to Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but be confused. "Great Elder, what are you doing? This time, you've won a lot of places. Other than the places that our clan's disciples need, we've also prepared some places for the Lin clan and the other clans. This is enough for us to exchange for the benefits we need. As for the remaining places, the clan leader said that you'll be in charge. After all, without second young mistress, we wouldn't have any places this time." Bailey Hongzhuang finally understood and didn't refuse. "Thank you very much." She understood that this time they had won a lot of places. The Di family had more than enough. As for the remaining places, the clan leader gave them to her to give her more opportunities to make friends with others. After the Great Elder and the others left, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Xiaofeng and said, "Big brother, you can give these places to Yunyan." Bailey Hongzhuang gave some places to Di Xiaofeng. According to what she knew, the Bailey family didn't get any good results in the alchemy competition. Therefore, other than the identity cards that the Bailey family already had, they didn't have any other places. Thinking about it, Bailey Yunyan also didn't have a place. In her heart, Bailey Yunyan was most likely from the same lineage as her. Therefore, she wanted to help the Bailey family. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang directly take out 10 places and give it to him, a trace of surprise appeared in Di Xiaofeng's eyes. "Sister-in-law, I wanted to ask you for a place." Di Xiaofeng was a little embarrassed. Yunyan doesn't have a place this time, but 10 places is too much. Previously, when he saw the Great Elder giving a place to Bailey Hongzhuang, he already had. He didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to think of this as well and offered to give a place to Yunyan. At this moment, Xiao's a little. This sister-in-law was really too nice. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. "It's very likely that Yunyan is of the same bloodline as me, so the Bailey family also has a certain relationship with me. I think these quotas should be very useful to them." Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng nodded. "You're right. All these years, the Bailey family didn't have many places to enter the Immortal Cloud's secret territory. These places are already a huge surprise to them. Since sister-in-law has already put it this way, I won't refuse. Thank you." Chapter 47-77. With the Bailey family's current strength, 10 quotas were already an unbearable benefit for them. One had to know that these quotas were things that all the large families were trying to obtain. If these quotas fell into the hands of a large family, even if others were jealous, they couldn't do anything about it. However, once the news of the Bailey family having a quota spread out, it was bound to arouse the jealousy of others. When a large force made a move against an ordinary force, they would not hesitate at all. Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to help the Bailey family, but she didn't want them to attract a fatal disaster. Di Xiaofeng was also a smart person. After hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, he already understood. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. I will definitely remind her. I will also tell her that this quota was given to them by you. This way, if sister-in-law really has the same bloodline as the Bailey family, it will also be good for you." Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and did not refuse. After finishing everything, Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the room. "Wife, did the trip to the Alchemist Guild go smoothly today?" A devilish smile appeared on his handsome face. Although it was a question, Di Baichen's face did not show the slightest bit of worry. It went very smoothly. Bailey Hongzhuang poured a cup of tea. Her red lips slightly opened as she took a sip. Then she continued, President Shui of the Chishui City branch was very polite to me. Not only that, he also gave me 3 gifts. As she spoke, Bailey Hongzhuang took out 2 swords. This is my gift to you. Di Baichen looked at the swords that Bailey Hongzhuang handed over and a trace of astonishment appeared in his eyes. Then it turned into a smile. Wife really knows my heart. You knew that the weapon in my hand was not good enough and immediately helped me pick out a treasure. Take a look. Are you satisfied? Bailey Hongzhuang asked with a smile. Di Baichen blinked his eyes, looking devilish and seductive. How can a gift from my wife not be satisfactory? Severed Passion Sword? Di Baichen looked at the name on the scabbard and could not help but frown. Why does this name sound a little strange? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and shook her head. I don't know either, but these 2 swords are clearly a couple. Not only that, I heard from Guild Master Shui that the previous owners of these 2 swords were a pair of lovers with deep feelings. However, they died in an accident and left these 2 swords behind. Her original intention was to find 2 handy weapons, and after seeing these 2 swords, she felt that they were very much to her liking. Although the name sounded a little strange, it was indeed a first-rate treasure. Silk Cutter Sword, Emotion-Severing Sword, these names sound very domineering. These 2 swords are so sharp, and our feelings are so deep that even these 2 swords can't cut us apart. Good name. Di Baichen smiled as he held the sword in his hand. Hearing Di Baichen's explanation, Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze changed a little. Thinking about it, she felt that this was indeed a good name. Although I have already brought these 2 swords back, I haven't actually made them recognize me as their master. According to Guild Master Shui, it won't be easy to make these 2 swords recognize me as their master. I'm afraid that the 2 of us will have to put in a lot of effort. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the swords in her hand and sighed. If we can't make them recognize me as their master, then we'll have wasted the opportunity to choose a treasure. Chapter 4778. After obtaining the 2 swords, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichen did not hesitate and immediately went into seclusion. Before entering the Immortal Cloud's secret realm, they had to think of a way to make the 2 swords recognize them as their masters. Otherwise, they would have to find other suitable weapons. After the Di family knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichen had gone into seclusion, no one went to disturb them. At a time like this, it would be good even if they could increase their strength a little. At the same time, Mo Yunjue and the others were also cultivating in seclusion in the Chaos Ring. On the day of the pill refining competition, they had seen many outstanding geniuses and deeply realized the gap between them. Most importantly, ever since that day, Ao Lingxiao had started to cultivate crazily. Although he did not say anything, Mo Yunjue and the others understood. It must be because he saw the Ao family's team during the pill refining competition that he trained so hard. After all, his brother had taken everything from him and made him bear such a bad name. In fact, when he had arrived in the upper realm, Ao Lingxiao had wanted to know about the Ao family's situation. Di Baichen had once helped him to gather some information, which allowed him to understand more about the Ao family's current situation. However, this was not as stimulating as seeing it with his own eyes. He only hoped that his strength could increase quickly. Only then could he return to the family and take back everything that belonged to him. Under the influence of Ao Lingxiao's crazy cultivation, Mo Yunjue and the others did not relax. They all immersed themselves in higher intensity cultivation. As a result, the demonic beasts in the forest world also suffered and became their practice target. They did not have to worry about staying in the Chaos Ring. After Bailey Hongzhuang entered the Immortal Cloud secret realm, they would naturally enter as well. The Xiao family's patriarch was undoubtedly very depressed at this moment. He was originally very happy to wait for the Xiao family's result. With the strength of their family's alchemists, they would definitely be able to obtain a good result. Reality proved that their ranking was indeed good. However, he was not happy at all, because in this pill refining competition, the Xiao family had undoubtedly become a joke in everyone's eyes. I never thought that something like this would happen, so was too reckless this time. Xiao Yanlong frowned. Although previously, because of Xiao Sou's matter, he was indeed dissatisfied with the D family, he did not plan to break off relations with the D family because of this. After all, the two families had been friends for so many years, and they had dealt with each other in all aspects. Not only that, he knew in his heart that the D family would find a way to make up for it. However, he did not think that it would be so. He did not think that Sou clans as a family. And she even allied herself with the Jun family's family. Xiao Yanlong Sou's the family as a joke. The Xiao families become a joke families as well. And even the family as families was to become a joke to be them. I don't know what's wrong with the great elder this time. Why would he make such a decision? Xiao clan's Wu family had. After hearing Xiao Yanlong's words, the Xiao family's elders' faces were filled with dissatisfaction. This time's matter was really unwise. The D family's relationship with us has always been very good. This time, the D family's patriarch must think that we have betrayed him.